Mayor Council report. Councilmember Benson.
Thank you, Mayor. According to the League of Minnesota Cities, which is an organization promoting excellence in local government, providing reliable information while also not misleading the public are two key elements when communicating. I consider it my responsibility to provide reliable information and to also call out instances when the standard is not met, as was the case at our last council meeting. At the February 26th meeting, council had a discussion on the effort to build a fire department during a presentation on our annual report. I commented that the majority of data gathered in comment cards demonstrated that residents overwhelmingly do not support an Orono Fire Department, or they had questions and wanted more information. I said that the issue was causing division in our community. In response, the mayor made statements of his own that I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm doing this because, again, how elected officials communicate matters, and providing accurate information is always important, but especially so in matters related to fire service and public safety. The mayor's comments started at timestamp 2 hours, 1 minute, and 45 seconds on February 26th. He said, quote, "I think your supporters, the very few of them that continue to come to here, like a few of them that are sitting out here, are the ones that contrive and make up all this division. In two hands, I can come up with all the people. That's all I ever see. It's continual, it is constant, but it's 10 people, and that's all it is. All the people I talk to understand exactly what we're doing. It's very obvious to everybody. The only division that's being created is a division by a very few people. Some of them aren't even residents of ours." The mayor went on to say, "It's not divisional. It might be divisional to Long Lake and your supporters, but that's it. That was 100 comment cards. You are blowing this way out of proportion. You are making this up as you go. You're making it up that it's a division when you have 100 people. Not all of them are residents, and even Maria Vich's card got put into the wrong pile. It was all interpreted by you as your own person, not vetted by anybody. That division is caused by your analysis or the way you wanted it to come out." And that's the end. I want to make 3 points about the mayor's comments. The first point is about how our residents have been included in the process. In May of last year, our staff mailed this card out to residents. It said, "The city of Orono is looking to the future. What should our fire and emergency services look like? We want your input." We then received information from our public about the question we posed. It is not divisive for me to discuss the data we collected. It's diligent. Understanding what residents think is an important part of our job. We received 120 cards from residents, not 100, which matters given the sample size. The 7 responses from non-residents we received were not included in the results. I identified 3 main categories in these responses. 1, those who support an Orono Fire Department. 2, those who don't. And 3, those who want more information or had concerns about the process. By my analysis, 26% supported an Orono Fire Department, 60% did not, and 11% had more questions or concerns, and 3% of comments were unrelated to the subject. Again, non-residents were not included. A total of 71% of residents either do not want an Orono Fire Department or want more information, and that is a clear majority. Last year, we as a council asked for residents' feedback about plans for a fire department we had already started to create. The cards that were sent out did not explain this. We just asked what our fire services should look like. When people wrote back telling us what our fire services should look like, our council didn't enable staff to evaluate the information. The comment cards I'm referring to can be found in the May 22nd, 2023 council packet, and I have them here. I am not, as the mayor stated at our last meeting, making things up as I go. The second point is about my analysis. Because our council would not enable staff to analyze the results, I did it myself because resident voices matter. Here's the issue. My work was invalidated by council because, as the mayor said, quote, It was all interpreted by you, not vetted by anybody. If on one hand, council is unwilling to have staff analyze data, and on the other also discounts work done by somebody else, in this case me, that's a catch-22. Under this framework, there is no viable way for residents to shape policy on their city's fire service. In my opinion, that is a dynamic that results in division. Citizens need to be able to influence the decisions we as council members make. That's fundamental to the process of local government, and we haven't applied it to our fire department plan. Finally, I see things differently from the mayor, who stated that it's me and a few others who are creating division. This is not about me. It's about recognizing that the lack of meaningful public engagement is a serious vulnerability in our plan. In addition to the 71% of people who do not support this plan, 4 former mayors of the city didn't either. This is not being made up. It's written in a letter that was sent to the Orono community last June. I don't have an ability to tell folks what to write in cards or letters, but I do have an obligation to discuss what our residents want. We as council members share that obligation. Our council has shown that we're willing to use public comments in other arenas that shape city projects. Parks, for example, we are using resident opinions to help shape the future of our recreational goals. Why aren't we doing the same for a city plan that involves human life, personal property, and is a much larger cost to residents? The mayor has concluded that I am causing division, but our city records reflect that community members have spoken about fire department issues on the record since before my time on council. I'll mention 3 of them from 2022. That's the year when this council passed a resolution to create an Orono Fire Department. October 24th, a resident asked if anyone had used deductive reasoning like an economist does and said, before spending all this money, what about examining the real costs? November 28, a resident asked for Orono to host at least 2 town halls and asked why we need a fire department and what cost will be to individual taxpayers. They said that they think Orono owes it to the community to have some say in the project. Another public comment during that meeting stated that Orono buying fire trucks is wasting taxpayer money, time, and energy, and asked that Orono stop and form what is best for the community and people. In examining what residents have said about fire service, and knowing that we continue in a direction that does not appear to align with our public, I have these questions for my fellow council. Whose interests are we serving? Whose interests do we serve by creating a new department rather than extending or renegotiating the service contract with Long Lake Fire? Whose interests do we serve when spending resident tax dollars on equipment for a new department rather than using this money to improve and upgrade equipment that is in use by Long Lake? Whose interests do we serve when asking for resident feedback but not using it to shape our fire service policy? And these questions are not rhetorical, and they're also not asked to promote divisiveness. It's promoting a democratic process. If the majority of residents we polled don't support this plan, that's something this council should acknowledge and act upon. If the mayor or any other member of council has concerns about how I analyze the data, and Councilmember Beach brought this up during the work session tonight, and if I unintentionally misidentified any remarks, whether Councilmember Beach's or anyone else, the good news is that we can direct staff to analyze it themselves. If we're not willing to do that, what message does that send about how we govern? The good news about where we can go from here. First, our city can utilize what the League of Minnesota Cities deems essential for effective policymaking, listening to diverse perspectives and building consensus. We could recommit to listening to more residents who want to share their perspectives, like in a series of town halls that has been suggested. Second, the July 1st deadline to serve about 1/3 of Orono with our own fire service is self-imposed. We as a city can return to Long Lake to extend this date into the future to give our city more breathing room based on where we are at this time and having no guarantee that we'll be ready on July 1. I think it's something we should seriously consider. Third, options for re-engagement were mentioned during Long Lake's council meeting just last week and also during Long Lake's State of the City address delivered by Mayor Miner. An offer stands to extend the current contract for fire services and also to re-examine other avenues for shared services going forward. Hearing Chief Highland's presentation tonight demonstrates that fire departments can grow more effective and more efficient over time, especially when they have the support of those they serve behind them. That's all I have. Thank you.
You can stop.